this was a slow burn. I physically had to stay up to read a book because it was just so good. Hello everyone, it's Jasmine and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in November. So I was pretty much gone for almost the entire month of November, so I didn't read as much as I would have liked to, but I did manage to read 2 books, 1 novella, and 3 volumes of manga. And a lot of the things that I read this month, I really enjoyed. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first book I read this month was Brittle by Sophie Lark, and this is the first book in the Brittle Birthright series. Before I talk about the book, can we take a moment to appreciate the cover? I think this cover is stunning, and I think Emily did such a fantastic job designing this. I really like it. I think this is so aesthetically pleasing. The spine as well I think is gorgeous. So I've read dark romance before, but I've never really kind of dived into a mafia romance. This is the first book I read by Sophie Lark, and I was not disappointed. I feel like I've seen so many people talk about her books, and Melina was one of the first people I ever heard talk about Sophie, as well as Tanya and Alexandra, and after them I feel like I saw so many people start reading the series, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but I think this book is the definition of enemies to lovers. We follow Ada, who is the youngest daughter of an Italian mafia, and Callum, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who is the oldest son of an Irish mafia, and their families have always been the rivals, always trying to one-up each other, but their dads decide to create an alliance and basically arrange a marriage between Callum and Ada. They are both not happy about this. She hates him, he hates her, and they both kind of want different things. He is trying to become a mayor, I believe, of their town just so he can control certain things. She's an independent woman and wants to do things for herself and doesn't want a man to tell her what to do. She has Ada energy, as Sophie would call it, and I love that. I buddy read this with my friend Ariana, and we had such a good time reading this together. I feel like a lot of things that happen in this book are things that we've never really read before, and experiencing that was great. Both Ada and Callum really tried to make one another's lives miserable because they hated each other so much. Ada would do something to Callum, then Callum would do something to Ada, and they tried to constantly like get each other back. One scene specifically that I feel like I see everyone talking about is the strawberry scene, and reading it I was honestly so surprised. I heard so many things about the strawberry scene, and basically he's allergic to strawberries, and she eats strawberries on their wedding day and he has an allergic reaction, which causes this whole thing between them. I just think it was really fun to see that banter. I think one of my favorite moments buddy reading this with Ariana was definitely reading our first met scene. Jaw on the floor. Oh my gosh, whoa. But as Callum and Ada start to spend more time together, they realize that they do have a lot of their differences, but their end goal is a lot more similar than they initially thought. They start to develop some sort of connection and feelings for each other, and then just seeing the development of them like literally hating each other in the beginning and it blossoming into something to where they have feelings for each other, I think was so much fun. Another thing that I feel like really added to this book was the whole mafia world. I think Sophie did a great job of kind of describing just the environment and what it's like between the Irish mafia, the Italian mafia, and then other enemies, if you will. So I thought that was really fun, and also getting introduced to a lot of Ada's family members and Callum's family members as well. I really enjoyed reading about Ada's brothers. I thought they were so much fun, and I also enjoyed reading about Callum's sisters. I just think this first book did a great job of introducing the world and what these characters kind of go through on a day-to-day basis. So I gave Brittle a 4 out of 5 stars. Because I really enjoyed Brittle I decided to pick up Stolen Air by Sophie Lark, and this is the second book in the Brittle Birthright series. Brittle Birthright is available on KU, so I read this on my Kindle. This was definitely my favorite book of the month. I literally could not put this book down, and I don't remember the last time that I physically had to stay up to read a book because it was just so good. So in the first book, like I mentioned, we meet a lot of the siblings, and this one focuses on Callum's youngest sister, Nessa. She is a very sweet ballerina. She's going to college. She's very innocent. She knows what her family business is and kind of how it's mafia, it's dirty, but her family tries to keep her out of it and in a way shelter her from a lot of the things that are going on. This poses to make her look very naive and someone who people can just walk all over, not just within her family but within her peers at her ballet studio. This makes her easy bait So Miko, who's basically in charge of the enemy, he kidnaps Nessa and holds her hostage at his house. So Stolen Heir is a dark mafia Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I personally loved Beauty and the Beast as a kid growing up, so being able to see it retold in a way where it involves mafia and it's dark romance, I thought it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. So this is Stockholm Syndrome, meaning that Nessa basically falls in love with her kidnapper, who is Miko. This probably isn't for everyone, but I personally really liked it. You learn more about Miko and how he kind of was brought into this world. I want to say he grew up in Poland, if I remember correctly, and he just had a really hard childhood. So right away, his story really broke my heart. So because of the things that had happened to him, he builds up all of these walls and doesn't allow anyone in, doesn't want to show any emotion. But you quickly see from the beginning that Nessa is going to be the one to kind of break those walls and melt his cold heart. As she continues to stay there and as he continues to kind of pamper her, if you will, they start to develop this sort of attraction that both of them kind of want to ignore, but they can't ignore any longer. I just thought this was so much fun. I enjoyed reading more about them spending time together and the development of their relationship. I also feel like in a way I really related to Nessa. With her being young and being female, I feel like she constantly had to prove herself and prove that she's smart enough and capable of doing certain things. And I really like her strength and her being able to use her brains and abilities to the best of her capability in that situation. She is mentioned to have like a tattoo, a crescent moon behind her right ear, and I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to get one. So if that's my first tattoo, it'll be because of her. She is the definition of soft girl ballerina aesthetic, and I love it. This has me super excited to read the next few books in the series. So after reading 2 mafia romance books, I felt like I needed a good palette cleanse. So I picked up The Mistletoe Bet by Maren Moore. I think it was the end of November, so I was like, oh, this would be fun to kind of get into the holiday spirit. It's a novella, so it's short, quick, I can read this fast. I think the title speaks for itself, The Mistletoe Bet. There's a bet involved, but this was very Hallmark cheesy Christmas movie. I did like that aspect. We follow Quinn, who is this Topshop marketing employee. She lives in New York, so think like the typical girl who moves out of her small town to make it big in the big city and then comes back home to visit for the holidays type of thing. Her family has been a little rocky in their relationship, and their mom kind of wants to fix that, so she comes back home for the holidays to spend time with her parents and her brother. Her parents are divorced and her dad has a new girlfriend. She's always just hated the holidays. Think kind of the Grinch, Scrooge. She just doesn't really want to celebrate it. She just wants to be home and kind of focus on work and getting a new promotion. She's there for a week and she just can't wait to leave and get back to the city. One of her first nights there, she attends a holiday party and she runs into Parker, who is her brother's best friend. She basically grew up with him and she's always had this huge crush on him. Turns out he's like a super hot doctor now, and they get to talking and he loves Christmas. He loves the holidays. He will pretty much do any and every single tradition. They decide to make a bet. He talks her into making a bet that he can get her into the Christmas spirit by the end of the week. With that bet, they spend a lot of time with each other, and each day is some new Christmas tradition, whether it's buying a Christmas tree, making cookies, hot cocoa. I thought that was really fun. I liked that aspect of it. There was also some good spice, a role-playing doctor scene, which I thought was really fun. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars, and I think it's just because like any other Christmas Hallmark movie, it's the same thing over and over again. It's good, but it's not great. I liked that it was a quick read. Just because it's so short, I wasn't super attached to the characters. After reading that, I wanted to pick up some manga, so I read the first 3 volumes in Lovecom. I really love the Lovely Complex anime, so I decided that I should read the manga next. I wanted to classify it as friends to lovers. They're friends who just kind of banter back and forth a lot. They tease each other, make fun of each other, and purposely like try to push each other's buttons, so there's constant like bickering and banter, which I think is so much fun. I know some people classify this as enemies to lovers. We don't necessarily see them as enemies. It's like briefly mentioned in I think volume 2 that they were enemies in their first year, but we don't actually get to see them as enemies. Risa is a very tall girl and Otani is a very short boy. Basically, because of the height difference, they're known as like this comedic duo and everyone just loves them together. A lot of the stuff that's happened so far is pretty different than what happened in the anime. In these first 3 volumes, it's them them, like the anime, making a bet to see who can get into a relationship first. They try to help each other with these two people, but those two people end up dating each other, them continuing to start fighting, hanging out, and you see that they are really, really alike, very similar. They like the exact same things, they have fun with each other, but they keep denying that they wouldn't be a good couple. But as you continue to read, you see that Risa starts to have these things like, why do I care about this? Why am I upset about this when he's with another girl? And you just see that she's starting to develop feelings for him. But Otani is basically saying that we're never gonna be together. Look how weird we would look together. I really enjoyed the anime, but this was a slow burn. Like, they got together really late in the anime, so I'm curious to see how long did it really take them to get together, because what the heck. And I also just want to read the manga so I can see them being more of a couple, because like I mentioned in the anime, they got together so late. I want more couple content. But I think this is the perfect rom-com. It's so much fun. If you're looking for something funny, something cute, something fun with a really great friend group and an interesting couple, I definitely recommend watching Lovely Complex. And then if you want to read the lovecom manga, I'm probably gonna finish the rest of the volumes in December. I will definitely talk about my full review on this in my December reading wrap up. And that is it for today's YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for watching me talk about all the books that I read in November. If you guys have read any of these, let me know your thoughts on these, and let me know what your favorite book of November was. You know, I love chatting with you guys about different things that you like, different things that I like. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for any more bookish and manga content, and I will see you guys in my next video.